Hey, Mena Warriors, welcome back to Menopause Monday. So, today I still have not got part three of the stress resilience workbook that I was going to walk you through. Life has actually, ironically, really chucked stress in my direction. So, today is a really quick catch up. I've been involved in a really horrible accident, and I also lost my beloved little cat. So, it's been in about the space of about 10 days. I am physically and mentally exhausted, but I'm just going to talk you through a few things because this is actually really important because I'm living a pretty yucky time right now. So I'm glad to be alive. I am lucky to be alive. The accident was pretty serious. I'll explain it in a little bit of a detail. But first and foremost, I just want you to understand that stress resilience is not about having a life without stress. It's that when stress really hits you hard, you can dig down and get through it the best way that you can. I mean, I'm tired, I feel heavy, I look tired, my body just even walking up the lawn, it's just like, oh God, do I really have to go up the stairs? All that sort of thing is completely normal because it's how the body responds to extreme stress. So just going back a couple of weeks, my beloved little cat who was 16, I'm going to try not to cry, went downhill really fast. Hang on, I might have to press pause every now and again just to get myself. And do you know what? There is nothing wrong with feeling your emotions either. If you ignore them and you push them down, that is suppression. That is not a good thing. So while you don't need to see me blob, I'm going to try not to. But if I do, that's completely normal. And that's absolutely normal for the rest of us too. When you're feeling sad, the body needs to cry. When we shed tears, the hormones come out in those tears. It's a natural expression of grief and feeling sad, and also feeling scared and feeling angry. Some of us cry when we're really angry, if we're so frustrated and wound up, and it just comes out. We cry. I'm one of those people. I cry a lot, so don't be put off if I have glassy eyes a little bit. So she went downhill very fast, and I had no idea why. We took some blood tests at the vets, and no major organ failure, which was a relief. But for some reason, she wasn't drinking her water and not eating. She was being a little bit sick. And the poor little thing just went downhill really fast over about sort of 24 hours. Popped her on a drip at the vets for the day, brought her back home so she could be, at home and you're at that stage where you're thinking the first day I took her is just like, I think I should have her put to sleep. But we thought, well, we'll do a little bit of exploration just in case. Anyhow, the next morning she had probably got worse. So I syringed some water into her mouth because she was very thirsty. She looked like she'd lost the ability to lap. And she kept lying in water after I'd had a shower. She went and lay in the shower tray. So I'd got an early morning appointment, thank goodness. And then we had to let her go. So that was that, and brought her back and buried her in the garden. She's just outside my window. I will get it together in a minute. And then was very, very busy because my son came up and we renovated the house together, or partly hired a big cherry picker, and that was all going quite well. A few hiccups, but we got a lot of the work done. And then returning the cherry picker. So remember, I have flown helicopters. I'm quite good with engineering stuff. I'm a safe driver. I've never actually caused an accident in my life. I'd got through all the tight turns, getting out of where I live because it's very mountainous here, on a straight, flat piece of road, beautiful conditions, nothing around me, thank goodness. Dual carriageway. I was probably about 35 miles an hour with this massive thing behind me. And it suddenly started to weave. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it started to weave. So I pulled off just took off the gas. You're not supposed to brake with things like that. So I didn't. And this thing was just going boom, boom. And it was like this massive green monster in my rear mirror. And it was bizarre. The first few seconds, or first maybe split second and a half, it's just like, oh, it's weaving. I'll be able to get it out of this. And then realize I've actually completely lost control of it. So, and then literally within the next second, it was just like, we're going to crash. And this thing was just like, it was I think 2.2 tons. My car is safe up to 5 tons to tow it. And it all of a sudden there was this vile noise, and I didn't even have those flashing thoughts across your mind like a lot of people do. Probably because it happened so fast. I knew I was the car was starting to lose control. it had lost control, and then it was just the accident is going to happen. And it was just like, oh, here we go. And then all of a sudden, my car was pointing southways. Literally within a split second, it was pointing northways into the oncoming traffic on the dual carriageway. But like I say, nothing was around me at the time. So there was no even like major slipstream from a lorry or a van or something that could have triggered this. Police did notice something at the crash, so I can't go into any details because I don't want to, there might be some legalities and insurance implications around it. I think the cherry picker flipped or rolled over. It definitely rolled. Thank goodness it actually disconnected from my tailgate, which I think meant that my car, thank goodness, did not roll. It just spun and got out the car, called 999. I mean, my knees in my legs were going. I sat on the verge and I thought, oh, actually, my car's across the fast lane of the dual carriageway. So I got back in, thought, oh, well, will the car start? It did. Managed to pull it off into the inside lane because the cherry picker was literally lying across the inside lane and the verge and a little bit across the midsection into the outside lane, just so that the traffic could get past. Because, of course, it backs up really fast. It's holiday season. It's quite busy up here. And then the police arrived and they were absolutely fantastic. And after about half an hour, they said, "Oh, you can drive off." So what? Can I? You sure? And they said, "Yeah, no, just go back home and we'll be in touch, etc." So it's like, oh, God, felt really weird just leaving the thing. Thankfully, our emergency services are incredible, and it got recovered, etc. So then I still had an outstanding hire account for the cherry picker. So again, that was awful because I'd literally just written off this company's cherry picker. So I had to go into their office and I just said, I have no idea what to say to you or what to do. I said, this is horrendous. It's just awful that this has happened. Completely inexplicable. I just cannot fathom it. Whenever I wake up at night, I see this massive green thing weaving behind me. And I think I would understand it or accept it more if I knew what the trigger of this thing was. But that again is a separate conversation. And so I went in to pay and they said, listen, don't worry about it today. We'll sort it out another time. So I went back in a couple of days later to settle the bill, which again was so stressful because it's just like, oh, you're almost like walking into the lion's den. I have to say they were very gracious and yeah, they've been actually very kind, which has been really sweet. It really helps. So like all good mothers, I'm thinking, well, I'm in the area. I mean, for me to go to the supermarket is like half an hour away. So I thought, well, I'll go and get my shopping. It was the most random shop. It was just like toilet roll, I don't know, flaxseed, chicken, and maybe a couple of other bits and pieces. I forgot all the most important bits. But I was thinking, I'm going to celebrate that I'm still alive because I felt like it was such a blessing. I definitely feel like I used up one of my 9 lives that day. I had assumed that it was going to be when the thing was weaving so badly. I just assumed we were going to be a big mangled, crumpled mess altogether. And somehow, miraculously, it didn't turn out like that. So I'm very grateful. So did some shopping. I think with things like this, just going back to the sort of the purpose of the video, stress resilience, it's taking action on those things that you can control. So I knew I had to go and get some shopping. So I thought I'll get the groceries. It kind of gave me something positive to focus on. So got the groceries, got them back home. I honestly felt awful. I still feel quite broken, to be quite honest. I broke my neck when I was 18. And I think I'm not going to call it whiplash. I absolutely refuse to call it whiplash because when you call it something, you almost like become a victim to the name you've given it. But I have got a sore neck and back. But then I do have a tendency to have a sore neck when something happens because of the fact I broke it all those years ago. And I think I just have a little bit of a weakness there or a fragility still there. I mean, my head's still on there. It's still all connected. So I'm celebrating. So how we talk to ourselves about these things, I never, and I still don't, I'm not seeing myself as a victim of this accident. It happened. Accidents happen. That is what accidents are. They're inexplicable things that just randomly out of the blue happen. But there are things that I can do to build and to build the resilience. And, during situations like this, yes, it breaks you down a little bit. You feel very emotionally raw. You feel a bit broken. Takes a while just to sort of get your, I don't know, the swing back in your step. And that's a natural reaction to when something horrible has happened. But you then also, during these moments, you then can build your resilience to stress. And that's what I really want to underline with this. I mean, the next day after the accident, the day of the accident, I was so dry mouthed. I had to keep drinking water. Literally, I had no moisture in my mouth at all, which is, of course, a stress reaction. Nighttime, I've been waking up with night sweats. Again, that is a stress reaction. When we understand that these things are just because I've got more adrenaline and just because I've got more cortisol in my body, it's not catastrophic. It's a physical reaction to something that has happened. And so when we take away that sort of, I don't know, the worry and the fear around the fact, why am I getting all these night sweats? Why have I got a dry mouth? I feel broken and I'm going to worry about feeling broken. When we accept that these things have happened, then it sort of puts us back in the driver's seat. There are lots of unknowns still with all of this that's happened. But the things that I can do are, write the things down, make copious notes, take lots of photographs. I've been back to the accident site, so I've got like loads of different angles and images. I took a couple on the day, but not many. And so now I've got a huge folder of information that if I need it in the future, I've got access to all that information. And again, that gives you a sense, or gives me a sense of control. So it is about acknowledging that these terrible things do happen, celebrating I'm alive, and then just somehow clawing your way gradually backwards. But like I was just about to say, the next day I did not feel like eating, but I knew I had to eat in order to dampen that cortisol response. So I had a protein-centric breakfast. All of my meals, I've been focusing so much on protein, and I know I always bang on about protein, but this is real life dealing with a massive amount of stress and also grief for little Tipsy. So when we can do these, and drinking lemon balm tea, if you struggle with anxiety or you've had something major happen to you, lemon balm helps to bring down that cortisol reaction. It's not going to get rid of all that cortisol. It's not going to change the history of what's happened recently, but it's a dampening effect on the stress that you feel when these things do happen. And I've been seriously limiting coffee. As much as I love coffee, I've not had much because I know it's only going to make that stress response worse. I've been getting to bed early. I've had to because I am exhausted. But night times, I'm waking up really sweaty. I can't change that. It's just while things are going on in my body, while I'm readjusting to the new reality that is now my life, it's going to happen. And I guess as the next few days, I mean, this accident happened, I think, 3, 4 days ago. As the next few days go on, my stress response will, of course, go down, and that's going to make it easier. So that's it in a nutshell. So I apologize, I've not got your workbook ready yet. I will get it ready. I absolutely promise you. It's something I really want to deliver because it's going to be so helpful for you. It really is about looking at the facts and removing the feelings and not allowing yourself to become a worrier about those things that you have no control over. And it's also just, I mean, this will be in this workbook, but it's about not over dramatizing, over catastrophizing, because that only serves to sort of deepen the trench that we're already in. We're already dealing with the emotional fallout and in some cases the physical fallout of when these things happen. But when we can just acknowledge the absolute facts, what has happened, take the photos, take the measurements, da-di-da-di-da, whatever situation you're in, you might be divorced, get the facts. You have to get the bank statements, you have to give the reports on whatever your reasons for the divorce might be. I've done that one many years ago. We all have a tendency to a negative bias. We all think the worst. If you miss a phone call and somebody phones you 2 or 3 times in a quick succession, you think, oh my God, what's happened? You don't think, oh my gosh, somebody's phoning to tell me I won the lottery. We don't think that way. We all think the worst. So it is about becoming so aware around your thoughts and looking after yourself as well as you can by prioritizing sleep, eating well, avoiding those stimulants that increase your stress levels, and also taking a few things that might help reduce your stress levels, like lemon balm tea. Actually, I am out of ashwagandha right now. I might place an order right now because I haven't got any at the moment. And ashwagandha is great at helping you modulate your adrenaline and your cortisol response within the body. It's an adaptogen herb. I've talked about it extensively in the past, but I will probably place an order for that. I'm also making sure I'm having my vitamin D because that is also really good for your entire body support, but also your mental health. Life has been absolutely chaotic. I've not been outside for many walks, which is what I would normally recommend people always do. It's been too busy, and I've had, there have been things I've had to focus on because of the timeline since this thing happened. So I will get that workbook out to you hopefully next week. Um, right now, there's a whole structure to my days has had to change a little bit because of the various things that I'm having to collate and deal with as a result of this accident, and also heal. Although I must admit, I'm not really I haven't given myself much time to heal because I've been so busy. But I'm one of those people that thrive on doing things, and it's not a suppression. Promise you. I think some people keep themselves busy to avoid thinking about and acknowledging what's happened. I'm a real doer, and by doing things, I'm tidying up my environment, I'm tidying up my house, I'm getting organized. When I feel organized, I feel more in control. And that is a real positive. If I'm disorganized, it's just an extra area of out of controlness that I don't need to experience right now. So with that, I just wanted to touch base, say hi, apologize for not being available last week because of everything that's been going on. But always remember, this is what I say to myself as well. You are greater than your fears. Whatever might be happening in your life, you have so much more strength and capacity than you think you do. And it's really important that you remember that because even when you're feeling broken and like life has gone completely out of control, that's when that resilience builds. When you get through these significant, horrible things that happen, and they are horrible. Becoming resilient to stress doesn't mean it's all nice and light and yellow and pink and airy. It's not. It's this big sludgy, in this case, green, rusty, horrible thing, heavy, just horrible, dangerous, cold that that replicates what's happened to me. But by this situation happening, you become stronger because you have to deal with the SH1T as the fallout. And when you deal with it, you realize, oh, I can actually sort of get through these things. And I've still got a long way ahead. I'm sure I'd love it to suddenly vanish. I don't think it will. So there's a lot that still needs to be done. But just know, hang in there. You are greater than your fears. We have so much more resilience than we allow ourselves to think we do. And just separate facts from the emotions. The emotions, with that negative bias, don't tend to help very much. Of course, with grief and with shock, you have to allow some recognition of those emotions. But when then you're dealing with the aftermath, try and separate the facts from the feelings. It makes life a lot easier to navigate. So thank you for your company. Stay safe. I never thought this would happen to me. It's just like crazy. It does turn around and bite you in the bum very hard. It really makes you realize just how fragile life is. But I'm glad I'm still here, and I'm glad I'm chatting to you now, and I will talk to you again very soon.